Alex Eala is making her way to Indian Wells, and California has absolutely no clue what is about to come its way. The Filipino community is gathering in numbers this tournament has never witnessed before. Tickets are flying off the shelves, sections are being reserved in groups, and the tournament directors are reportedly astonished by what they are observing. The fifth Grand Slam is about to transform into something entirely different. Do you think Alex Eala will advance to the semifinals at Indian Wells this year? And do you believe the Filipino crowd in California will be the noisiest fan base the tournament has ever encountered? Drop your prediction in the comments right now. Let's discuss what is truly unfolding in California right now, because the scale of it deserves to be understood properly and not merely condensed into a single social media post. Alex Eala is in the main draw of the BNP Paribas Open at Indian Wells. Not through qualifying, not through a wild card, but through her ranking of world number 31. A ranking she secured by climbing from 137 to 31 in roughly 12 months through performances that the tennis world had to stop and take notice of. The Miami Open semifinals, the Dubai quarterfinals, where she defeated Jasmine Paolini, ranked world number 8 with a 6-1, 7-6 scoreline. The Auckland semifinals, the Abu Dhabi quarterfinals, a gold medal at the Southeast Asian Games, the Australian Open main draw debut. She earned her place at Indian Wells the difficult way, the only way that truly means something. And the tournament organizers have been monitoring the ticket sales and hospitality bookings since her entry was confirmed. And what they are observing has apparently left them genuinely stunned. California is home to the largest Filipino diaspora in the United States. The Filipino-American community in this state is enormous, well-organized, passionate about sports, and has been waiting for a moment precisely like this one. A player who represents the Philippines, competing at the highest levels of international tennis in their own backyard. Not just competing, but winning, breaking records, being referred to as the biggest attraction in the sport by former top 10 professionals, having her portrait displayed at Nike World Headquarters in Oregon with a caption that reads, "History in full bloom." That combination of sporting achievement and cultural significance has sparked a response from the Filipino community in California that the Indian Wells Tennis Garden has simply never come across before. Fan clubs from Los Angeles to San Diego to Daly City are arranging group bookings. Entire sections of the stadium are being secured by community groups who want to recreate the same wall of sound that turned Dubai into a Filipino celebration and had Coco Gauff acknowledging the crowd after her quarterfinal victory over Eala. The secondary market for tickets during the sessions when Eala is expected to compete has already seen prices rise considerably above face value. Some seats are reportedly going for double their original cost. This is the economic reality of the Eala effect arriving on American soil, and it is catching the tournament's commercial side completely off guard because nothing in their historical data prepared them for a player ranked 30th in the world generating this level of market demand. For context, Indian Wells is known as the fifth Grand Slam, and the title is well deserved. The prize pool for 2026 surpasses $9 million. The field includes every major name in women's tennis. Aryna Sabalenka, the world number 1 and multiple Grand Slam champion. Iga Swiatek, Mira Andreeva, the defending champion. Jessica Pegula, Coco Gauff. The entry list reads like a directory of the sport's current elite. These are players who have spent years building the reputations and results that command premium ticket prices and prime court assignments at a tournament of this caliber. And right there in the middle of that list is Alex Eala, world number 31, who is generating more ticket interest from a single demographic than the established names on paper are generating from the general tennis audience. That is not a minor statement. That is a complete reversal of the normal commercial logic of professional tennis. And it is happening right now in real time. The journey to this moment passed through Beaverton, Oregon first. Before heading to California, Eala stopped at the Nike World Headquarters, and the reception she received there set the tone for everything that is approaching at Indian Wells. Her portraits were already on display in the renowned Nike Tunnel alongside the greatest athletes the brand has ever represented. One portrait captured her iconic expression after reaching the Miami semifinals, both hands on her face, tears, the raw emotion of someone who had just accomplished something that surpassed their own anticipations. The caption, "History in full blossom," was chosen deliberately because Nike does not label things carelessly. Also exhibited in the tunnel was a photograph of Eala capturing a selfie with Filipino supporters, which tells you precisely what Nike recognizes about why this collaboration succeeds. They are not simply investing in the competitor, they are investing in the community that shows up for her everywhere she travels. Placing that supporter photo on the wall at global headquarters is a declaration that the Eala narrative is larger than individual athletic accomplishment. It is a cultural movement with a following that journeys internationally and reshapes the commercial reality of every tournament she participates in. The timing of the Oregon visit was intentional. Eala arrived early in the United States specifically to allow herself additional preparation time for the conditions at Indian Wells. The California desert creates a very particular playing atmosphere. The air is arid. The elevation affects ball trajectory. The courts perform differently than what she encountered during the Middle East and Oceania stretches earlier in the year. Getting to the United States ahead of most of the European competitors who are still traveling, becoming accustomed to the time zone, becoming familiar with the surface conditions, these are the margins that matter at a tournament where every player in the bracket is performing at an elite standard. The Rafa Nadal Academy provided her 7 years of training in an environment constructed on meticulous preparation and relentless dedication. That foundation is evident in how she approaches each campaign. She is not someone who arrives the day before and hopes for the best. She strategizes carefully. She prepares for specific conditions. And the early arrival in the United States combined with the Nike headquarters visit represents exactly that kind of deliberate preparation. The significance of entering Indian Wells with a top 30 ranking rather than through qualifying cannot be overstated for her long-term growth. Players who advance through qualifying arrive to the main draw having already competed in multiple high-pressure matches. They are carrying fatigue. They have already expended physical and emotional energy that the direct entry players have conserved. Last year in Miami, Eala advanced through qualifying and reached the semifinals, which is a remarkable feat, but it also meant she played more total matches under more cumulative pressure than any of the players she eliminated along the way. This year at Indian Wells, she arrives refreshed. She arrives rested. She arrives after 2 weeks of recuperation following Dubai. And she arrives having visited Nike headquarters, which provided a psychological boost that no amount of practice court time can replicate. Seeing your own portrait on the wall at the most celebrated athletic brand headquarters in the world, alongside competitors whose names define what greatness signifies in sports, tells you something about yourself that training alone cannot convey. The competition is formidable. The top seeds at Indian Wells represent some of the most accomplished players in the history of the women's game. Sabalenka at number 1 has been one of the most dominant forces in women's tennis for several years. Swiatek has been world number 1 for extended periods and remains one of the most complete players on the tour. Andreeva is the reigning champion at this event. Any of them on their finest day is capable of defeating anyone in the field. But the conversation surrounding Eala at Indian Wells is not really about whether she can beat the world number 1 in straight sets in her opening match. It is about what unfolds over 2 weeks when a player with her profile, her form, her following, and her psychological momentum enters a tournament and begins advancing through rounds. The players who defeat her at these events in the future will have to accomplish it in front of thousands of Filipino fans, generating noise levels that the tournament has never experienced in its regular draw rounds. That is a genuinely different competitive environment, and it favors the player whose supporters are generating the noise. Sam Querrey, Steve Johnson, and their discussion about Eala's drawing power being greater than Jannik Sinner on the men's side last year have been validated at every tournament so far in 2026. The crowds in Auckland were extraordinary. In Melbourne, they set records. In Abu Dhabi, the atmosphere was electric. In Dubai, Goff herself addressed the stands and thanked the Filipino fans for attending and for transforming the energy of the tournament. California is an entirely different magnitude. The Filipino community here is not a small group of enthusiastic travelers who made a special trip. It is an established, large, organized diaspora that has been anticipating this precise moment with growing excitement since Eala's Miami run last year made it apparent that she was genuinely capable of competing with and defeating the finest players in the world. The tournament organizers, who are reportedly stunned at the ticket surge, are not dealing with a temporary spike in interest that will stabilize once the bracket is released. They are dealing with a fundamental transformation in who attends their event and why. Tennis in the United States has been striving for years to attract more diverse audiences and to reach communities that have historically not engaged heavily with the sport. Alex Eala accomplished that in a single season without a marketing campaign, without a coordinated outreach strategy, and without anything other than winning matches and carrying herself with a kind of dignity and competitiveness that makes people proud to associate themselves with her story. The ticket prices rising on the secondary market represent real dollars flowing into the Indian Wells ecosystem from a demographic that was not previously generating that kind of economic activity at tennis events. Food vendors, merchandise operations, hospitality suites, parking, every commercial aspect of the tournament is going to feel the impact of thousands of Filipino fans descending on the California desert. And when Eala steps onto that court for her opening match of the tournament, she is not going to be alone. She will have a wall of blue, red, and white behind her. She will hear her name called out in a manner that most players at her ranking have never heard their name at this tournament. She will compete in an atmosphere that makes every opponent feel like they are the visiting team. Kim Clijsters said Eala has to manage the reality of being like Michael Jordan in the Philippines. In California, she is about to discover what it feels like to have that same energy transferred to American soil. The Filipino diaspora here is prepared to give her precisely what the fans in Dubai gave her and then some. Indian Wells opens March 4th. The countdown is essentially finished. The fans are booked. The sections are reserved. The community is organized. And Alex Eala, fresh from Oregon with Nike's full confidence on display, and a career-high ranking that places her in the upper tier of the bracket, is about to walk onto those purple courts and experience something that the tournament's history simply has no precedent for. The fifth Grand Slam is about to receive a very different kind of energy, and every player in the draw who has to face Eala in front of that crowd will understand exactly what Coco Gauff understood in Dubai. Competing against her is one thing. Competing against her and the entire Filipino community at the same time is something else completely. Alex Eala is heading to Indian Wells with her highest ever ranking, Nike behind her, and an entire California Filipino community ready to transform that desert stadium into something this tournament has never witnessed. The fifth Grand Slam is about to experience its most electrifying atmosphere in years.